In further developments, China has stated that it is working with several regional and international governments to prevent any military escalation in the Caribbean. Speaking on the Venezuelan crisis, the Chinese Foreign Ministry has added that it opposes all actions that go against the UN Charter and threaten national sovereignty and security of any country. It has also stressed that states that interfere in Venezuela's internal politics are not going to be acceptable under any pretext. These statements come as Venezuela has reported a massive and unprecedented U.S. military presence near its territory. The United States has recently deployed its largest and most advanced aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, along with about 12,000 sailors and Marines as well. F-35s are also stationed in the Caribbean. Meanwhile, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has in fact spoken on his weekly radio program. Amid all these developments, he has reaffirmed Venezuela's sovereignty and highlighted what he described as China's political support. Take a look.
Cooperación política, diplomática, todos los días. China respalda públicamente el derecho de Venezuela al ejercicio de su soberanía y a la paz.
Still with us on the broadcast is Dr. Bonnie Yushi Liao. Interesting development coming in. What do you make of the tone and the tenor adopted by Beijing, specifically the rejection of any sort of pretext for U.S. interference in Venezuela?
Sorry, I can't hear your question.
Yes, the tone and tenor that has been adopted by Beijing in rejecting any pretext for direct U.S. intervention in Venezuela. What do you make of the diplomatic rhetoric by China?
Okay. Beijing's tone is classic strategic messaging, which is firm, moral sounding, but calibrated. By posing any pretext for U.S. interference, China presents itself as defender of sovereignty and global solidarity. It's a narrative that resonates in Latin America, however, where memories of U.S. intervention are long. Yet we should notice that Beijing didn't say, what they didn't say. No commitments of military support, no red lines. It's assertive rhetorically, but cautious and operationally. In diplomacy, we call this strategic ambiguity with cost control. China gets to challenge the U.S. narrative, protect its oil interests, and score soft power points, all without picking an actual fight. You might say Beijing wants influence, not entanglement, which is loud enough to be heard, but careful enough not to pay the bill.
Indeed, you have mentioned the fact that there is no guarantee being given by China to Venezuela that it will back it. It's just a statement of solidarity at the moment. But we do know that China has its economic considerations with Venezuela, specifically its investments and the latter's oil reserves as well, which has prompted this statement in the first place. But with increasing U.S. pressure in the Caribbean, as I mentioned earlier, the Gerald R. Ford is deployed, F-35s are there as well. We've seen strikes on these so-called narcotics boats as well. How likely, in your assessment, is then a direct Chinese interference if U.S. does strike Venezuela?
Well, the short answer is unlikely. China's stake in Venezuela is economic, not ideological. Oil, loans, mining rights, these matters to China. A war with U.S. in the Caribbean does not. If Washington escalated, Beijing's response would be asymmetric, not kinetic. We might see diplomatic pushback, like yuan-dominated oil deals, rapid financial support to Maduro, maybe more naval signaling, but not Chinese troops in America's backyard. Beijing doesn't gamble where the U.S. hold home field advantage. However, China would use such a crisis to advance a bigger project, multipolar financial order. More BRICS oil trade, more de-dollarization, experiment more narrative positioning against U.S. interventionism. So China may not fight the war, but it will certainly shape the aftermath. So in that other words, if conflict breaks out, Beijing would rather write the sequel than act in the first act.
All right, fair enough. With that, ma'am, I'd like to thank you for your analysis, your insights as well, putting all